Hey now, it's Brace for Impact, and I'm your host, Mike Gilbert. And I'm joined as always by JD by God Oliva. How you doing, JD?
I'm good, man. Just watched some Impact. Had practice before that. A little sleepy. Good to go.
Yeah, so we're recording a little later tonight because you fell asleep putting your kid down, right?
I did. We had my kid had supposed to have soccer and it got canceled because it's done nothing but rain here the past 4 days. So he came with me to wrestling practice today. So we were together and then we had dinner and then I came home and put him to bed and then I fell asleep when he fell asleep. So
Dude,
I was catching up on the show a little late.
yeah, that happened to me the other night, and my wife came in like I was, trying to get my daughter to bed, and I was laying in bed with her, and I fell asleep, and it was like 9:30, not like late, but not terribly early either,
Yeah.
and she came in to wake me up to tell me that I fell asleep, and I was just like, "What are you doing? Like, just let me sleep, lady.
Yeah.
What are you
I'm
doing?"
already out.
Yeah.
Why? Like I woke up and I looked at my phone. I'm like, I wonder if Mike can record on Friday. Like the first saw that, I'm like, oh, I gotta get up, gotta get up.
Yeah. Well, we've been on a pretty good roll keeping the show on Thursdays. I know we'll have a big change here coming up soon, but right now we're keeping it up on Thursdays, and we like to please the audience. And I think tonight's episode of Impact was decently pleasing. I would say we got the big payoff on the Mickey James and Chelsea thing that we've been saying for months is going to
About time.
happen. Yeah, and I'm real excited about that. I'm glad that it finally happened because and we'll get to the segment, but I think that Impact is going to be much better off with
Oh
the heel
yes.
Chelsea Green. Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So we'll get into the show. First, we'll talk about BTI. Shira
Princess
defeated.
of Power.
Yep.
Sorry.
Sorry, not Skeletor, not He-Man, but
Ah,
Shira defeated Crazy Steve, and that was BTI. Thank you for talking BTI with us, everybody. Thank you.
she used the sword of power to defeat him. Sorry, we were watching He-Man and She-Ra earlier this week, so it was in my head.
The new Masters of the Universe on Netflix or old school?
No, old school. I haven't
Okay.
watched the new one yet. My kid watched the first episode of the new Kevin Smith He-Man, and He-Man died, and like he's 6. He's like, done, done, and he walked out. He refuses to watch any of the new any of
I
the rest of it.
I that kind of happened to me too.
I
It's
mean, I get
like
it.
watch the first episode. I was like, wait, is He-Man coming back? I get the feeling he's coming back eventually, but I kind of just lost interest. I need to pick it up again though. But
I think they overplayed their hand with that one, thinking people would be along for the ride, and a lot of people were like, "What? What?"
yeah,
Like, yeah, you kind of. I don't know, man. It's like you ever see the movie Executive Decision?
I
It's an
have.
old movie from yes, you know
Great,
what I'm talking about.
great movie
Great,
by the way.
great movie. Yes,
Yeah.
they sold that movie to everyone as a Steven Seagal movie, right? That was the marketing campaign. Steven Seagal, Steven Seagal. He dies 10 minutes into the movie, and they go, "Bam, Kurt Russell movie,"
yeah.
which is an upgrade, but it's
Yeah.
still a surprise.
Yeah. I remember he was all over the marketing for that movie, and he dies like really early in the movie. That's so funny. I remember that
Yes,
now.
like 10 minutes in, they kill him. You're like, what the hell? But it's great. It's actually a great idea for a marketing campaign because then you're thinking one way, and they're like, oh my god. It's kind of like imagine if remember WrestleMania 9 when we thought Bret Hart might come out as a champion, then we were left with Hulk Hogan as a champ. We all went, what the hell? This was like that, but good.
Yeah. Yeah. The show opened up with Alexander heading to the ring. He's still pissed about Musa invading his house. Although I still think that Jade opened that door and he kind of just walked in. So, but
It was hardly an invasion. It was more like a I'm just gonna step inside because you opened it. It's like, okay, first rule of vampires, right? You don't invite them in and they
mm-mm.
can't come in.
Yeah.
Same is true of stalkers and predators.
Stalkers, predators, salespeople, and family members.
And family members. Very
Yeah.
important to keep most family members out of your home.
Yeah. Some of them will never leave, folks.
Right. Because if they went on their own, you can do whatever you want to them legally. But if you invite them in, that's over.
Yeah. Alexander talked about not expecting Moose to be stupid enough to cross the line, but this is Impact and we cross the line, right? And go to his house and threaten Alexander's family. He told Moose that his days left as champion are counted and called out Moose to come out and face him. Moose came out and said that he failed to protect his family and he will also fail to capture the title at Rebellion. Talked some trash about his family, saying he was going to be the role model that Jet never had, which I thought was a kind of a good line. Uh,
Harsh.
yeah, it was a little stiffsky, brother. But they started fighting. They went to the backstage. They ended up going up on the balcony where I think Kimono Wanalea once did a striptease. They were up there on that balcony in the 2300 arena,
as
and
as they advertise to me every week on ECW television.
yes, yeah. So once yeah, I think something happened and the power went out or something. So she just got up there and danced. But he tried to kill Moose. He tried to throw him over the thing, and of all people, Madman Fulton and a few other guys stopped him. So there you go. Cool confrontation there in the beginning, though.
Oh, yep, fun.
Yep. Scott D'Amore then confronted Alexander about almost killing Moose. Alexander threatened to keep his emotions in check as long as Moose stays away from his family. So there you go. More emotional talk between Scott D'Amore and Josh Alexander. So we're never.
Stinks.
Are we ever
Stinks.
getting that D'Amore heel turn or no? Or are
I
we
don't know.
done?
I'm it seemed like they were setting up for it, but now they seem to have cooled on it. So now I'm just gonna chalk it up to bad writing. That
Yeah.
made no sense. So whatever.
Yeah. Um. So first match, and it was a good one. Speedball Mike Bailey, who I've decided is George St. Pierre. I don't know why it finally dawned on me, but he's George St. Pierre. Like
Yeah,
that's his gimmick. You
yeah,
know,
it
he's got
is.
the whole the karate robe, the mouthpiece. He's coming out. He's a smiley baby face, a happy-go-lucky baby face from
From from Quebec,
yeah,
yes.
from Quebec. So he's George. He's just George St. Pierre. I can't believe it took me this long to realize it, but. Um, uh, Speedball defeated Laredo Kid and Willie Mack in an X Division Championship number one contenders match, so he'll go on to Rebellion and join the three-way. I thought this was a pretty good match, man. I like all three of these guys. I'm glad that Laredo Kid didn't take the L on this one. It was the other guy who takes a lot of L's, Willie Mack, but this was a showcase for Bailey here.
Yeah, they needed that. Needed Bailey's kind of right now. Uh put the belt on him. That's my thought.
That's my thought too, man. I mean, he's all over the place.
Hmm.
He's like literally. I was just on Twitter, and he's wrestling right now in Los Angeles for Game Changer Wrestling, and he's tearing it up everywhere, man.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm of the mind that these guys that aren't afraid to hit the indies and actually do a little bit more work are the guys that everybody should be building up, and they should be bringing their belts everywhere. Like last time Dynamite, seeing Dax come out with the AAA tag belts, that's cool.
Hmm.
It's nice to see other things. Like when I go to AAW coming up, I'd like to see some of those Impact belts showing up with them. Right? Why
Yeah,
not?
why not? Are you? So you're actually gonna go?
I think so. It's going
Okay,
to depend on if I have to coach that day or not. I'm
okay.
waiting on a schedule adjustment, so
Because
I'll know tomorrow.
Eric Young's gonna be at that show, right?
Eric Young is gonna.
Okay.
I sent that to you because that made me go. Ooh, I really should go to this.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and go to the end here. Laredo Kid went for a dragon run on Mac, but the latter blocked and reversed into a razor's edge, which I thought was a cool moment. Because that got the crowd popping.
Hmm.
Broken up by Bailey shooting star press. All men exchanged roll ups and strikes, but at the end, Bailey got the ultimate weapon on Mac for the win. So, yep, good match. He's going to go on to Rebellion to face Trey Miguel and Ace Austin for the X Division Championship.
He's absolutely George St. Pierre, which I
Yeah,
didn't even think of until you just said that.
yeah, we might need to send a message over to Paul Fontaine and see, like, hey, because he watches the show too. So it's like, dude, this is definitely George St. Pierre, right? Like, makes total sense.
Mhm.
We got a promo by the Bullet Club. And in the background, I wanted to make mention of this. I don't know if many people caught that, but Doc Gallows had the bandana on backwards, a la Scott Hall and another tribute. So there was some Scott Hall tributes on the show. I thought that was kind of a cool scene.
Scott Hall by way of Tupac. Yes.
Yes, yes. Which is funny. Scott Hall was like almost like a 40-year-old white guy mimicking Tupac, but Tupac was over, brother.
Tupac was over, and to be fair, he actually listened to that music. That's why those guys were actually cool, is they paid attention to what was going on in pop culture in the
Hmm.
mid '90s. And Hulk Hogan pretended to understand what was going on.
Hulk Hogan just wore Jinko jeans and
I forgot
and
about the Jinkos.
bandanas. Yeah. Uh,
Oh
so
Lord.
Jay White talked about being screwed last week. He also said that the New Japan refs are screwing him too. This guy's getting screwed all over the place. Kind of like that kid
Well,
from That kind of like that kid from Private Party who got his ass pounded last night.
He did get his ass pounded and told everyone on Twitter that Sting pounded his
He
ass.
got his ass pounded by a 63-year-old man.
But usually got to pay for that.
Yeah,
But if you do watch, so if you watch New Japan, Red Shoes is like the worst referee in
terrible.
history. Like
Yeah,
people bitch about AEW, and I'm like, do you watch New Japan? Have you seen the refereeing in New Japan? Like since Tiger Hattori stepped down, it's been a disaster. So yeah, Jay's got a point. Like he's
yeah,
got a big point.
yeah. He said that when he broke up the pin and gave the Motor City Machine Guns the win over them, he knew that Shelley and Saban wouldn't just accept a win like that and challenge them to a rematch next week. Which I'm still raving about the way that they handled the finish of that match, because Jay White's got a gripe, but the referee did a pretty good job there. He just didn't catch that part. I thought the whole story made sense. I thought it was really cool.
It's solid, good stuff.
Yeah. Carl Anderson addressed the lumberjack match against Violent by Design, and that they bring the titles back to Bullet Club. So there you go. Always quality stuff with the Bullet Club here.
Carl
Um,
Anderson's an underrated promo
he
when
is.
when motivated.
Raj Singh and the Shira Sheikh cut a promo backstage telling Bhupinder Gujar that he missed a chance to join him, and so he had to call back Shira. Shira, who's actually the OVW heavyweight champion. He's been doing OVW stuff, which I don't watch that. I just know that
Did
that's
he
true.
beat Mr. Spectacular?
He did.
Oh.
Man, I think we should find a clip of that. That would be a disaster to watch. Mr. Spectacular
He
versus
follow
Shira.
he follows me on Twitter. He's one of those guys that just follows everybody in hopes of following back. So I did the service. I followed him back.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy his content. I've never watched him wrestle since he left Impact years ago,
Yeah.
but I see that he has told me, or his Twitter page has told me, that OVW can be viewed anywhere. So maybe we should view a little OVW and talk about it for our Patreon friends.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no chance in hell that match was any good.
No, God,
No.
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 But I kind of want to watch.
No, Spectacular. What's his name actually?
Jesse Goddard's, right?
Jesse Goddard's. Yeah. So he's followed me 17 times, and I've never followed him back. He just keeps following me. Like I'll randomly get a notification, "Hey, I followed you again, sir," and I just don't follow him back. I'm just like, I'm not falling for it, brother. Can't.
It's the Dylan Bostic move.
Yeah, yeah, that guy. And that's the guy who his mom ran his Twitter, right?
That would be
Dylan
correct.
Bostic.
That
Yeah,
would be
that's
correct.
so funny. Yeah, so when I first started my old podcast account, I I started to do that, and then my timeline or my feed
It's
was
awful.
it was a shit show.
Yeah.
And people post dirty stuff on Twitter. I had no idea. I felt like I was sheltered. It was like a bunch of debauchery. So I had to just go through and unfollow a bunch of people because I couldn't scroll my timeline without worrying about going to prison.
Yes. First of all, what is allowed on Twitter is unbelievable. Like the
Yeah.
things that are allowed on that site, it's shocking.
Yeah.
The key is if growing your engagement is very important to you, which is really not to me, but if you really want all those, this is for anybody out there who's trying to start something, and you want like the wide net follower thing, it works, right?
Yeah.
It works. You follow a bunch of people, but then Mike's talking about it is you need to find a way to cull your timeline a little bit. Here's the key. This is how I've managed to make Facebook viable for me. Accept any friend request that comes your way and immediately mute them or unfollow them. So I have nobody. I follow nobody on Facebook, just brands and groups. I go on there because family is the worst people to follow, to like read what they're putting on Facebook, because you have to actually kind of deal with those people. And it's like, you know what? I don't need to know that my sister thinks that the Ukraine is a made up country. That's just disappointing at all levels. Like, I'm like, oh,
yeah.
I don't need to know what you think about anything ever again. Click.
My family's in Missouri and yours is in Illinois. Illinois. They're not that far apart. Your sister could be my cousin because she sounds a lot like my family right now.
Stupid. So, I mean, that happens sometimes. So, yeah, that's my advice to you. If you want to grow your social media following, it does work. Ask everybody to follow you, get them to follow you back, and then immediately mute them.
Yeah.
Immediately mute them. Then you don't have to put up with their stuff ever again.
Maybe that's what that guy is doing, and I'm the only one unmuted because I've never followed him back.
It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah. Steve Macklin defeated a gassed and winded Heath, sweating profusely within 30 seconds.
Man, long COVID Heath is a rough watch, man.
Yeah, I don't know this long COVID Heath. I think it might just be out of shape Heath.
I like long COVID Heath better. I think that's funnier.
You gives him an out. We will go to the end here. This match didn't last long, and it was not that good. Heath and Macklin continue to brawl at ringside, but as they return to the ring, Macklin cut off Heath with a big backbreaker, which would look pretty cool. Now in control, Macklin hit the crosshair spear to the corner for a near fall, but it wouldn't be long before Heath made a comeback with strikes and a series of kicks built into an overflow DDT for a 2 count. Heath went for the wake-up call, but Macklin blocked it, pinned Heath with his feet on the ropes, and got the win. Not sure why Macklin is cheating to beat old Heath here, but he did. And then after the match, Rhino returned and gored Macklin because Macklin gored him before. So there you go.
Rhino got to get that heat back, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, match not great. I'm not
Ooh.
blaming Macklin though. I'm a Macklin guy, so definitely not his fault. But yeah.
Oh, Heath, you got to find the stair stepper or something. He's
Yeah.
he's looking rough, but you know he got that contract extension, so you know, good for him.
I don't know that it's so much an extension. More of it is a hostage situation.
Not for him. He's getting paid.
Yeah, he's nobody else is hiring him, so he's not like exactly trying to get out of his contract.
Even Aldous is like, I don't know about Heath.
Yeah. Speaking of terrible, we got a new episode of All About Me with Tennille Dashwood and
God,
her guest.
this is brutal.
Her guest interviewer is Caleb. Dashwood forced Caleb to come clean about his loyalties to them or the inspiration. Caleb excused himself from the interview, only to find himself in a new episode of Locker Room Talk with Madison Rayne and Johnny Swinger. Rayne and Dashwood cornered Caleb and asked where his loyalties were, and Caleb was forced to answer under a lie detector, so Caleb ran away again.
So when they did the Madison part with the locker room, they slapped the logo right over her face so you couldn't see her talking. And that's just bad production. So I just started really laughing at that. That made me crack up, but not as much as I cracked up when Johnny Swinger was talking about Tony Atlas's feet, like legendary foot fetish. Again, that's a joke that 20 people get, but it's awesome if you're one of the 20.
Yeah, $50 a head or $25 a foot.
That's a foot, brother.
Yeah, Swinger's great. I felt like everybody else in the segment was not, including Caleb. I just didn't enjoy him this week.
And less is more. Caleb's now got the Bobby Heenan gimmick where he's just gonna wear that or the Joel Gertner, or whatever you want to call it, with like that. He's gonna wear that neck brace forever.
Yeah.
God, I was hoping this would be done, but it's not done yet. We're still gonna do this thing, and I just hate life. Ugh.
Yeah, just a waste of time. But anyway, speaking of awesome, actually we weren't, but let's go to awesome.
Quite the opposite, actually. Yeah.
Yes. We got a video package for Tomohiro Ishii.
This was awesome.
Soon to debut for Impact at the Multiverse of Matches. Followed by that promo package was Jonah walking the streets of Philadelphia, cut a promo about facing Ishii at Rebellion. So he challenged him at Rebellion, said he'll put him down just as he did PCO. So we got Ishii versus Jonah at Rebellion, and that is awesome.
I loved this Jonah promo. This had a lot of ECW vibes to it.
Yes.
You know, him wandering the streets of Philadelphia and just talking to the camera. Like, I love stuff like that, man. I don't think we see enough of it in pro wrestling, and it took me back to a better day, you know. And I quite liked it. The match is going to be awesome. Ishii is the largest giant in the history of professional wrestling.
Yeah,
he's like 5'6", but carries himself like he's 6'5". If you've never watched Tomohiro Ishii, do yourself a favor and watch him. Like, the man, he's like 48 years old, and like, he's a stone pit bull. He wrestles like an absolute monster, but he's like a junior heavyweight. He's got everybody fooled. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm excited about Ishii coming to Impact. I was hoping that Impact would get dates on him last year, man, and it didn't work out. But they got looks like they got 2 on him. So hope we get to see more of him. More Ishii, the better for me. I love that guy.
Japan is open, and it seems like the floodgates are starting to flow back and forth. Boy, Noah took every no-name independent guy in the world.
They took that Slex guy.
Which is like, I'm like, so clear they did not read my article based on who that Mecha Wolf. I'm like, really? These are the guys? Whatever. But like, yeah, the doors are open to Japan, so we should start seeing a lot more guys come in. At this point, I'll take Eddie Edwards back.
Yeah, absolutely. The Impact Tag Team Champions, Violent by Design, Eric Young and Joe Doring, defeated the Good Brothers to retain the tag team titles. So it's a rematch from Sacrifice. Here was a lumberjack match, so they had all the lumberjacks around the ring, not dressed as lumberjacks. They're in regular clothes though, which is
Bummer.
unfortunate. Yeah, unfortunate there. I would like to see them in their flannels and carrying axes and stuff like that. Um, so after some minutes, Young turned things around on Anderson, and now they had him cut off from tagging Gallows. Doring got a 2 count with the rebound elbow. Anderson finally caught Doring with a jawbreaker and tagged in Gallows. Gallows cleared the ring and hit a two-handed choke slam on Young for a near fall, followed with an assisted neck breaker for another.
That was
Doring,
cool.
yeah, very cool. Doring tagged back in and cut off Anderson, got a near fall after falling elbow from EY. Match broke down when the brothers hit a magic killer on EY, but Diener distracted the referee, allowing Doring to toss Gallows to the floor, and then the lumberjacks all surrounded Gallows, and that allowed Doring to do a dive, which threw me off guard. I never thought I'd see him do a dive. And he didn't do like one of those ginger dives, you know what I mean? Where he like barely taps people and they fall over. Like he just threw his whole fucking body on these guys and they just crushed them. So that was kind of cool.
I liked this match. I was ready to, because one, I don't like lumberjack matches in general. Because
No.
when name me the best lumberjack match you've ever seen. I don't think anybody could do it, right?
No, no.
I was totally ready to shit all over this, and I was super entertained. I thought this was a lot of fun. Like it surprised me how cool this match was. So kudos to all four guys involved. And I should have expected more because they're pros. But again, you know how it can be sometimes with the Good Brothers, you know?
Yeah, you never know you never know which version's going to show up.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess being in the 2300, feeling the old ECW vibes, they just stepped up the game, and I was appreciative of it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. Just as Anderson was getting ready to hit the gun stun, Bennett and Taven jumped in and low blowed Anderson, and allowing Eway to get the pin and win. And there's a note here from the Observer guy. There was no reason whatsoever why this was a lumberjack match. Well, the reason why is because they're all going to have a match at Rebellion. Like it's an 8-team match. So that's
multi-man tag team match. That's going to be a complete kerfuffle.
Yeah. I don't know why OGK interfered on the Bullet Club though, because Bullet Club's heels. But I guess we're all in this areas of gray. So
everything is gray.
Yeah.
Everything's. I mean, I got nothing else. I agree. I don't know. I thought the same thing, but again, it's like there's no honor among thieves, right. And they're not being, honor anymore is not being. They're the Alliance. They're not the NWO. So it is whatever it is. What it is.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like there's going to be an Honor No More versus Bullet Club direction going forward. Jim Miller interviewed Tasha Steelz. Asked if Savannah Evans will be out there for her with her for tonight's street fight. Since Chelsea Green wasn't going to be there for Mickie James, Steelz said that as a fighting championship, she would allow Evans to take the night off. Steelz is a liar, by the way.
Liar.
She lied.
Liar.
Yeah. Another good match, which is no surprise here. Eddie Edwards defeated New Japan Pro Wrestling's Rocky Romero. So you have a Noah versus New Japan match here.
Whatever. Rocky is a New Japan guy. Rocky's office. Rocky's everywhere. If you have a television program, Rocky Romero probably wrestled on it in the last year.
And lost.
Yeah. And lost, yes. I don't think he's won a match in 6 years.
No.
But Rocky's really good. Like, this was a fun match. I loved the finish. Yeah. I loved Eddie countering the armbar and just stacking him up. I'm like, yes, that's a simple, effective finish. Actually, this is one of my favorite Eddie TV matches in a long, long time, to be honest with you. I really liked it.
I preferred the Swan match over this one, but I still thought this one was really good.
I like it. I like this one. This was fun. I'm really starting to roll my eyes at this whole, not starting, I'm continuously rolling my eyes at this whole Eddie is a Noah guy thing. Eddie hasn't been a Noah since 2017.
That's why I keep saying it.
I know, but they keep saying it.
Yeah, because I know it tweaks you, so I have to keep saying it. But
Slex is a Noah guy.
Yeah, Slex and Mecha Wolf.
And, Wolf.
And Kazuyuki Fujita, the champion. The best wrestler in Noah right now is Fujita. Back in the ring, Edwards took a tornado DDT, but Romero couldn't capitalize. Romero kept his focus on the injured arm. Romero went for the sliced bread, but Edwards blocked it, hit a Blue Thunder Bomb for near fall. Eddie Edwards has never pinned anybody with a Blue Thunder Bomb. It's about as useless as Adam Cole's Canadian Destroyer.
Or Sami Zayn's Blue Thunder Bomb. Yeah. Has anyone ever won a match with a Blue Thunder Bomb at any point?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. Edwards followed with a Tiger Driver, which is funny on Romero. But Romero
Him.
reversed the Boston E Party into a triangle hold, only for Edwards to roll Romero over for the pin. It wasn't a triangle hold, by the way, Garza. It was an armbar.
It was an
But
armbar. It wasn't a
yeah,
triangle. Yes, I was going to say, where is there a triangle in this?
yeah. I'm just reading the
Oh, I
words.
get
I'm
it.
not.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Yes, it was cool because Rocky Romero was the second Black Tiger in New
Yeah.
Japan. Who was the first?
Eddie.
Oh
Eddie. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Eddie.
Eddie
Yeah.
Guerrero.
Man, I said that with very little confidence, but I kind of knew it. Um, Black Tiger was also in TNA back in the early days, back in '06 too, by the
Hmm.
way, as Rocky Romero. So
Hmm.
there you
Good
go.
stuff.
Yeah, good match. After the match, Edwards attacked Romero until Jonathan Gresham made his return and attacked Edwards. Because Edwards, so this totally makes sense. Edwards took out Gresham because Gresham was supposed to be a part of Team Impact to take on Honor No More. Gresham got taken out, and they were all asking who it was. Turns out it was Edwards the whole time. So now Gresham has made his return to enact his revenge on Edwards. So that story never got dropped. He's back now, and looks like they're gonna they're gonna fight at Rebellion. So that's gonna be pretty cool.
Mike, all I ask for is logic and continuity in my storytelling and make things make sense. I quite enjoyed this.
Yeah, I think everything connected. Even the match with Rocky Romero and Eddie Edwards, that match made sense because they're just previewing the multiverse of matches where they're doing New Japan versus Impact matches. So that made sense to me too. I think everything's kind of cool.
I like it. I'm very curious to see what happens with Gresham coming up because with Super Card of Honor coming up next week, that is the most, I think that for me, that's the most interesting show on Mania weekend because we don't know what it is. It's like one of
Yeah.
those PWG Vortex shows where who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
I don't even know what the show is going to look like. So, and the word coming down is that somebody is going to be announced as signing full time. I'm going to assume that's Gresham, your world champion,
Right.
right? Especially because Bandito's, doing stuff with MLW. So, that's a thing. So yeah, it's fascinating. Like the career of Jonathan Gresham right now is really, really interesting
Hmm.
because he's got the Progress title out of WWE developmental program. He's got the Ring of Honor title, which is kind of an AEW developmental program. He's wrestling on Impact. What a cool guy to be right now.
Yeah, he's just kind of everywhere, man.
Yeah.
I hope he gets a big contract.
He is the Forbidden Door.
There you go. Jonathan Gresham, man, he's had a good 2022. This is a little interesting. Romero and Gresham didn't see eye to eye, but they shook hands. So there you go. And probably the segment of the night, Johnny Swinger met Zicky Dice, who was quite enjoying Swinger's Dungeon.
Because why wouldn't he?
He came out of there and he goes, "Man, I saw somebody getting really stretched in there, or stretched wide open in there," and I was like, "Oh my gosh."
This is great.
Yeah. Oh man. So Swinger challenged. He wanted to test his ability against Dice, and Dice was thinking that he wanted to do it inside of the dungeon. I think he thought that maybe something else, some other type of wrestling was going to happen, and no,
he didn't.
It turns out it was a tag team match.
He never poo-pooed it. Like
No.
it's not like he said no. Like he was considering the offer.
Yeah. So Swinger's oblivious as to what happens inside the dungeon. Yeah.
As always. That's part of what makes the Johnny Swinger character work. Is he's like a child in a lot of ways. Like he's just like blissfully ignorant of what goes on around him. Like it's fantastic.
Oh man. So Swinger's Dungeon. I'm loving this already, man.
It's working.
Yeah. Hannafin and Raywald ran down next week's events, including the multiverse of matches and the newly announced Alex Shelley versus Mike Bailey match. For next week, we got Josh Alexander versus Madman Fulton, Jonathan Gresham versus Kenny King, and the rematch between the Motor City Machine Guns and the Bullet Club. That's a pretty decent card.
That is a good card for next week.
Yeah. So now we go to the main event. We've got Knockouts champion Tasha Steelz defeating Mickey James in a Philadelphia street fight to retain the title. This match was smoke and mirrors on top of smoke and mirrors, ending with a big-time swerve that we all saw coming, so I don't know that we can even call it a swerve. But lots of interference here, so if that's not your thing, probably not the match for you, but I think they were telling a story, so this wasn't supposed to be a great match. So
Good thing. Bro. Vince Russo booked this match, bro. Like
it
this
was
was like 2002, baby.
yeah, it was, but I think it
It
was
got it.
executed better than
Oh
what.
no, it was.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, for sure. It was fine. Like I didn't hate it. I'm over. I've said this before. I'll stick to it. I'm over garbage cans in pro wrestling. I don't want to see them anymore. Personal. I've just seen so many of them. They were fine. They worked hard. I really liked Tasha Steeles,
hmm
and I liked. It worked for me because of the ending angle. I really thought the ending angle was great. We've been calling
yeah.
this for months upon months. And I did not see we'd see Zack Ryder. What is he called? Or Cardona? What does he call the Rough Rider now? I keep
The
forgetting.
radio silence.
Radio silence hits radio silence on
Yeah,
Mickey. Yes, I
yeah,
like it.
yeah. Pretty interesting. So, well,
Did you see Aldous tweeted about it?
yeah, yeah. So, did you happen to read my article this week, sir?
I did not, Mike.
No, it's okay. Um, so I at the NWA show on Sunday. I think it was on Sunday. It was Cardona versus Aldis, and in that match, Chelsea Green interfered and attacked Jeff Jarrett, the referee, and then Mickey James attacked Chelsea Green, right? And I kind of knew what happened a little bit at the tapings. I knew that the turn was coming, and so I put it together. So in my headline, I said Jonathan Gresham returning to Impact plus NWA crossover coming, not knowing that Aldis was just going to make the challenge tonight, right? But
Worked out.
it worked out. So my prediction was right. So I said that it looks like that we're headed towards a mixed tag match: Mickey James and Nick Aldis versus Chelsea Green and Matt Cardona, and Aldis made the challenge to take care of Cardona in an Impact ring. So there you go.
We floated this a month ago,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not surprised this is happening. Um, I tried watching some NWA. Show's brutal.
hmm
Show's very hard to watch. I don't understand why a music impresario hates guys walking to the ring with music. It's so bizarre.
yeah.
Um, the fact if this happens, I would love to see Nick Aldis win the NWA title in Impact because more people, we dog on Impact ratings sometimes, but way more people would watch if it happens on Impact than if it
hmm
happens in the NWA. Like
Yeah.
that's the truth. And I just think it'd be more interesting here. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
There's
And
better matches in this company.
yeah, and I like the crossover, especially
Mm-hmm.
because we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of TNA and Impact, and NWA was a big part of the history.
Oh,
It,
yes. I
it
didn't even
makes
think of that.
it makes sense that you would have the NWA title at Slammiversary this year, on on Impact TV. Man, I think that the all makes sense, and I'm glad that bygones have become bygones, or however you say that. And Billy
Oh.
Corgan and Aldis are there's no heat, or there might still be heat, but they're willing to do business now, so that's cool. And I think Mickey James is a big part of that.
Well, I do think Mickey is making some building bridges across the pro wrestling landscape. Um, I believe that Billy's issue was with Dixie, right?
Well, so I think there was an issue with Dixie, right? Because he did sue them and trying to get control of the company.
Because she lied to him repeatedly, but
Right.
yes.
But a couple of years ago, when Impact signed Willie Mack, he was the NWA National Champion, and Impact then signed him. Willie Mack was not a under contract to NWA, and they wouldn't let him work some dates for NWA, and so that's where the heat was. So that was the last time I heard that they had some kind of heat, and it was from that.
Perhaps the NWA should pay people a living wage because
yeah.
there's a lot of people that have just that got some attention on NWA and everyone. Oh, hey, they're good. Hey, this Ricky Starks guy, yeah,
hmm
he's good. Oh, Eddie Kingston, he's still around. Cuts good promos, yeah, but he's good. Willie
hmm
Mack, very good. I mean, this keeps happening. So, yeah, pay people.
Yeah. But yeah, so I let's go ahead and just talk about what happened here. So we Steels attacked James with a parking sign, only for James to turn it around on her. James pancaked Steels into a chair, tried to follow up with the Mickey go round, but Steels kicked out at two. Steels poked James's eye, went for the blackout, but James blocked into the Mick DT, only to have Evans pull the referee off the ring. James tried to take Evans out, but got caught and slammed into the ring post. Back in the ring, Evans attacked James with a chair until Chelsea Green ran down for the save, except she simply set the chair up and sat in it to watch firsthand how Steels finished off James with a springboard elbow and a plancha for the win. And then after the match, Green was trash talking James. James slapped the hell out of her, and then Matt Cardona snuck up into the ring and gave her the radio silence, and they gloated as the show went off of the air. So there you go. Um, Overall thoughts on tonight's show, man? Thumbs up, thumbs down. What you got?
First of
Oh,
all, our man Garza undersold the slapping because they both
yeah,
slapped the shit out of each other.
they
They
did. They
they
did.
reenacted Suzuki and Akiyama from Noah. Just I was a bitch slapping. That'd have been inappropriate, but I said it
But
anyway. So
we wouldn't be inappropriate on this show.
that's very far be it from us. They slapped each other senseless. Mickey was lacing them like it was impressive. It was impressive. Those were some stiff shots.
Yeah,
I loved it. I loved
yeah,
that whole sequence.
dude, that angle had a ton of heat. Loved the angle at the end. I'm really glad that it happened. I thought the Philly crowd was awesome. I thought they booed the heels, which is cool, which sometimes you don't get in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, you never quite know if they're going to play along or not.
Yeah, but overall thoughts on the show, man. What'd you think?
Fun. It's a good show
Yeah,
this week.
yeah.
Aside from you take out the inspiration stuff, and it's a home run. Not a home run. It's a good good seeing eye single.
Yeah. No, I B minus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the closing show angle. I thought it was excellent. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Made the show. The show's decent, but the closing angle, which again we saw coming, all good. Nothing wrong with that. It's the right decision.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the right decision, you know what the right decision for you, the listener, is right now? Is to go to patreon.com/fightgamemedia and sign up for our premium service, Fight Game Media Plus, and hang out with us a little bit longer because JD and I got some news to talk about. We kind of already talked a little bit about Gresham and the NWA stuff, but we're going to talk about the Rebellion matches coming up, multiverse matches, Heath's contract, Davey Richards, and much, much more coming up here on Patreon. So stick around with us on Patreon, but if not, we'll talk to you guys on the free feed next week. Patreon, stick around.
Hey y'all, this is Double G from the Fight Game Media Network. I wanted to tell you about our new series of combat sports podcasts on our free and Patreon tiers. Let's talk about all the shows on our free Fight Game Media Network feed. We have The Wrap, hosted by Keela Cash, which covers the week in WWE. The Boom, hosted by James McDaniel and Kevin Eli on all things AEW wrestling. For MMA fans, we have In the Clinch, hosted by Paul Fontaine and Ryan Frederick. Boxing fans will love Pound for Pound, hosted by Carlos Toro and Robert Silva. Write That Down is our Japanese wrestling history show with Justin Nipper and the legendary Fumi Saito. And finally, our weekend show by John LaRocca called Take It Home. And now let's talk about our Patreon, the newly branded Fight Game Media Network Plus. We have our 1997 Raw review version of the Fight Game podcast, hosted by myself and John LaRocca. Paul Fontaine and Jeff Hawkins host the Dynamite Show, which goes up every Wednesday night after AEW Dynamite is done. On Fridays, we have two shows that drop. The first is the full version of Brace for Impact, hosted by Mike Gilbert and JD Oliva, all on Impact Wrestling. That is the full version, which is on the Patreon. They also have a free feed of their Impact Wrestling review portion of the show, and you can find that wherever podcasts are found, searching for Brace for Impact. And lastly, on the Patreon, the 5-star Joshi Show, hosted by Scott Edwards. My video show, Observe This, is on our YouTube channel, but you'll be able to hear the audio version of it on the Patreon. We also have pay-per-view recaps as well as monthly bonus content from every podcast in our free network tier. And lastly, a Q&A with Dave Meltzer. All of that is for $5 a month. You can find all the links of where to hear our shows in the description of this video. Support the Fight Game Media Network by subscribing to our free network and Brace for Impact feeds. And please, please, please rate us 5 stars. And please check out our Patreon as well. Thanks for watching.